We have seen resource folders when we were adding the launcher icon to our app. In that case, we were using the type midmap and providing different files depending on screen density. Android has many other resource folder combinations. Here is a subset of them. I am going to show you another example of changing the margin of our app depending on the size of the screen. In this case, we are going to use the type values and provide different files depending on the width of the screen. Here is our Hello World app. There are two Hello Worlds in the app. The first one is in the title bar. That is the activity label. The one below it is displayed by the text view. We are going to add some margin to this text view to give it some breathing room. Let's try to add it directly first. Open activity_main.xml and add the attribute layout_margin. We are going to put in a value directly. Let's say 16 dp. Deploy and see how it looks like. Now we have some breathing room in our text view. Next, we are going to extract that into a variable. Create a new file called Dimensi.xml inside the values folder. Click on the values folder, right-click, choose New, and choose Values Resource File. Like I said, we are going to call it Dimensi.xml. We can go ahead and add the file to Git and ask Android Studio to always remember to do that whenever we add new files. Now, we are going to add the variable activity margin. It is of type dimen, and the name is going to be activity margin. We are going to put the same value 16 here. Once we have created this variable, we can use it in the layout XML. Replace the hard-coded value with the @annotation. In this case, it's @dimen/activity_margin. If we deploy the app, it will look exactly the same. There are multiple reasons why you may want to put it in a variable. Let's say we want a different margin for horizontal and vertical. In Android, you specify the margin by left, right, top, and bottom. Using a variable, we can have the same value for two different attributes. Let me show you how. Go back to the Dimensi file, and we are going to split this variable into two. Press Command D to duplicate the line. Then, we are going to change one of them to be called horizontal margin and the other one vertical margin. Next, we'll go back to the layout XML and use these new variables. First, we'll define the top and bottom ones. Once again, press Command D to duplicate a line. And then we'll define the horizontal margin. That is done by the left and the right. Again, if we deploy, the app is going to look exactly the same. That was the first reason why we may want to extract some constants into a variable, so that we can use them multiple times. This allows us to change the value in one single place and have it propagated all over the app. The second reason is that we may want to have a different dimension depending on how big the screen is. For an example, on a 10-inch tablet, we may want to give it more breathing room. If you look back at the project structure, you can see that the Dimensi.xml file is under the folder Values. This is the default folder. We can create another folder for devices that are 820 dp or wider. How do we do that? Click on the Rest folder, right-click, and create a new Android resource directory. This interface allows us to change the resource type and also change the qualifiers. Value is already selected, so we can just leave it like that. Click on Screen Width, then click on the arrow. Now we are given a field to change the value. Type 820. The directory name changes as you type the screen width. Press OK. Now we have a new directory called values-w 820 dp. Let's copy Dimensi.xml into it. Click on Dimensi.xml, Ctrl+C, go to the new folder, Ctrl+V. Now let's say we want to give more horizontal margin for a big screen. Let's bump that up to 64. So how does this work? When Android loads your app, it's going to look into different folders depending on the configuration of the device. If it is 820 dp or wider, it is going to load the Dimensi.xml in this folder and use 64 dp as the horizontal margin. Otherwise, it is going to use the default Dimensi.xml, which has 16 as the horizontal margin. To test this, we will need a device that's 820 dp or wider. Let's create another emulator. Click on the purple emulator icon, and then create virtual device. On the left, you can see different categories. Click on tablet. We are going to choose a 10-inch tablet. For the API level, go ahead and choose 23. On this screen, we can configure this emulator a bit more. Let's change the name. We will call it Tablet API 23. I'm going to change the scale because my computer screen is quite small. I am going to choose 2 dp on device equals 1 px on screen. You may or may not need to do that depending on how big your computer screen is. Click Finish. Now we can launch the emulator. The reason why I asked you to create a 10-inch tablet is that the width of the device is less than 820 dp in portrait mode, but more than 820 dp on landscape mode. This way, we can see both of our Dimensi value. Let's deploy the app in portrait mode and see how it looks like. The text looks really small because I'm running it at 2 dp on device equaling 1 px on screen. Now I'm going to rotate the device and we will see if the margin changes. If you are on a Mac, press Function Ctrl F12 to rotate your emulator. As you can see, the horizontal margin is larger when the tablet is in landscape mode. This is because the width of the device for landscape mode is wider than 820 dp. In summary, if you extract constants into resource variables, you can put them in different resource folder so that Android will use different versions of them depending on the device configuration.